tight, can you see it? Streaming the truth live from where they decree it. Sylvia speaks, no filter, no buffer. Courtroom drama couldn't get any tougher.
When the gavel's first bang, to the witness turns tears. Sylvia's lens captures all your hopes and fears. Uploading justice one trial at a time. Tune in every moment, edges sublime.
Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Faces tell stories, the courtroom can't hide. Sylvia's insights cut through the divide. From jury talks to the lawyer's secret. In Sylvia's world, you know you'll need it. Behind the scenes where whispers are loud, her lens reveals the truth in the crowd. Courtroom secrets laid bare to see. Stay curious with Sylvia Spree. Every objection, every sharp retort, Sylvia's there to give you the report. Exclusive footage no one else can snag. From catchy headlines straight to the tag. Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show.
Faces tell.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome. How is everybody doing this morning? Is everybody doing okay? Before I get started, I want to say a prayer because I want to pray for God's guidance in presenting this live, because I want it to do this in decency and in order. So I am going to start with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, I come before you asking you for the moral courage and strength to stand up for what is right, especially when it is difficult or unpopular. Grant me the wisdom to discern the truth and to speak boldness with grace and conviction. When the pressure to compromise weighs on me, be my firm foundation and fill my heart with peace that surpasses all understanding. Remind me that you are my shield and my strength. Help me to act justly with love, more mercy, and walk humbly as you, as I seek to take a positive difference in my community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen, amen, and amen. All right, guys, I'm not here to debate. I'm not here, but I just want to bring to you guys something that was brought to my attention. Attorney Ben Crump posted something on IG yesterday afternoon after everybody's been debating about the Mark Anthony, not Mark Anthony, Lord Jesus. Me and these names, I'm telling you, Carmela Anthony's sentencing and things like that. Well, he brought out another case that happened in Texas. And I don't know if quite of you guys have heard about this case, but I want to bring you some attention to the difference. Same type of case, the difference in the verdict, the difference in the coverage, the difference in the jury selection. And I just want you guys just to take a moment to think about it. Is this fair justice on both sides? Is it two Americas? Is it two different things? And also, I mean, I'm not. There's so many comparisons to different cases that we can talk about with the self-defense. We know both individuals are guilty. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We know Carmelo Anthony is guilty. He bought a knife where he shouldn't have bought a knife. And we know Allison was guilty. He bought a knife and he shouldn't have brought a knife into the school. We know that. Both of them was using self-defense as a defense, right? But why is there a big difference in the sentencing, a big difference in the jury selection process? Why? And I'm going to bring you to those who don't know about Allison case. Here it is. Let me just bring this up to you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
We are learning more about the Belton High School student who died after being stabbed at school, allegedly by another student.
Belton police identified him as 18-year-old Jose Luis Ramirez Jr., a senior at the school. He died at Baylor Scott White Medical Center tonight from his injuries.
And 6 News anchor Bailey Bates has been following this devastating story today. She joins us live in studio now with more. Bailey?
Leslie, Chris, it was a very somber day in the Belton community. Feelings of uneasiness, confusion, and sorrow took over after the stabbing at Belton High this morning. But tonight, not every parent is getting to hold their loved one. A scary situation at Belton High School Tuesday when the school was put on lockdown for a reported stabbing.
I'm in shock because I have an older son that graduated from here in 2018, and it's always been a great school. I'm in shock.
Pamela Owen rushed to pick up her 2 kids from school after getting a text she never expected.
I got the text from my son saying they're barricaded in a room, but he's safe. So what does a mom do? We panic.
Belton ISD opened Tiger Field as a reunification center, with hundreds of parents and guardians waiting in line to get their loved ones.
I've been in crazier situations at school.
Emotions were high as unanswered questions loomed.
They're all right. They're a little in shock. You know, I mean, we didn't expect something like this to happen. I mean, who does?
Belton police say an altercation between 2 seniors happened in the men's restroom just before 10 a.m. And then 18-year-old Kason Tyler Allison allegedly stabbed 18-year-old Jose Joe Ramirez. Ramirez died at the hospital Tuesday afternoon from the violent act.
You know how to make you crack a smile, know how to crack a joke, know how to make you laugh. Regardless of anything, he was always there for you. And that's really who Joe was. He was always that person that even when you didn't see him, you knew he was there.
Tuesday evening, Martin Martinez and other friends and family gathered to remember their friend. Lots of tears shed as they didn't expect to have to say goodbye this soon.
Still in shock. I think everybody's still kind of processing it, doesn't really believe it.
The sea of red, Ramirez's favorite color, will keep moving forward, honoring his life and how there was never a dull moment, and their memories will never fade. A GoFundMe has been created to help Joe's family as they grieve a young life loss. You can find that link on our website, kcntv.com. We've also known that Belton High School has canceled classes for tomorrow as the school will be closed. Chris, Leslie.
All right, thanks, Bailey. Now, Belton Mayor Wayne Carpenter released this statement today saying in part, quote, "I am deeply saddened by the tragic incident at Belton High School today and send my prayers to all of those who have been impacted by it, particularly to the young victim and his family," end quote. He went on to say, "On behalf of all Beltonians, I want all students, faculty, and staff at Belton High School and Belton ISD to know that they are in our thoughts and prayers." The Belton High School student charged with stabbing his classmate to death has been indicted by a Bell County grand jury for murder. In early May, 18-year-old Kason Allison was arrested for allegedly stabbing 18-year-old Joe Ramirez multiple times in a school bathroom.
Okay, you heard he stabbed him multiple times. In fact, he stabbed him 4 times, not just once, like Anthony did. He stabbed this young man 4 times.
Ramirez died at a local hospital. According to an arrest affidavit, several students witnessed Allison stab Ramirez. The affidavit claims that Allison was arrested a short time later at his home and then admitted to the stabbing.
Well, the trial of Kason Allison, the Belton High School student charged in the stabbing murder of his classmate, has been rescheduled. The trial was originally set for May 20th, but was delayed for parties to review potential evidence. 6 News anchor Bailey Bates is live in our studio tonight with the latest on this 2-year-old case. We won't know the outcome for a while now, Bailey.
Yeah, Lindsay, we know in today's hearing the judge, the prosecutor, and the defense attorney agreed to start the trial on January 13th of next year. That's when a Bell County jury will decide the fate for Kason Allison. He's accused of stabbing and killing classmate Joe Ramirez in a Belton High bathroom on May 3rd, 2022. 2 years ago, 6 News obtained an arrest affidavit that said Ramirez was stabbed in the chest, back, legs, and arm. That affidavit also stated,
You hear that? He was stabbed in the chest, the back, legs, and arm. 4 different spots.
Police obtained video that showed Allison stab Ramirez before the video abruptly comes to an end. According to online court records, we know that part of the reason
And there's a video depicting exactly what happened. A video depicting what happened, where he was stabbed before it ended. Okay. almost alike. In fact, in this one here, they were inside the school, and there's definitely you're not supposed to bring a weapon inside the school. Okay.
Trial has been delayed is for both the state and the defense to sort through and prepare potential evidence, including camera footage and several cell phones. A spectator in the courtroom at today's hearing tells me Kason was present the first time in a while, and the defense attorney told the judge he had conflicts for much of the year, leaving the trial to not start until next year. Allison is out on bond, and we will keep you updated as we continue to follow this.
Both Anthony and Allison was out on bond, so that's a fair side right there. They both were on bond. So almost alike in the cases, right? Almost alike, but in fact, Allison was 18 at the time, and the guy that he allegedly stabbed was 17, turning 18. He wasn't even 18 yet, but Allison was 18, so he was an adult. Okay.
Case, Lindsay. The trial of Kason Allison is being delayed a 3rd time, according to Bell County court records. Allison is facing murder charges for the death of his 18-year-old classmate, Jose Joe Ramirez Jr. The two allegedly got into a fight inside a school bathroom where Allison pulled a knife and stabbed Ramirez several times. The trial was set to begin January 13th. Now the trial is scheduled for March 31st. There is currently no word as to the reason for the additional delayment.
Today marked the beginning of the trial for a former Belton High student indicted for murder. Kason Allison, who was 18 at the time, has been accused of murdering his classmate Joe Ramirez in a Belton High School bathroom.
Ramirez was stabbed multiple times and later died from the injuries. 6 News reporter Sydney Walker was in the courtroom today. Sydney, what did you learn?
I got here about 8:45 a.m. and the hallways of the Bell County Justice Center were jam-packed. That's largely because this jury pool consists of 120 people.
This jury is set up was 120 people they had to pick from. The other one was 600, so there's a little difference in that. Okay, and this trial they did this trial last year, so I believe Anthony's attorneys should have take a look at this case to come up with a better defense. I'm just saying, because I don't know, but let's continue.
Trial begins. It will take place in District Court 478, which is Judge Faulkner's court, but the hearing today was in District Court 146 simply to accommodate the number of people. During today's proceedings, Allison sat quietly between his two defense attorneys. If found guilty, he faces between 5 to 99 years in prison.
Doesn't that sound like the same type of case? 5 to 99 years in jail. That's what he faces if he's convicted of the murder. Okay, which we already know he was not convicted of murder. He got the third less conviction, the lesser of the three. He didn't get murder. He didn't get manslaughter. He got it'll tell you in a minute. Hold on.
Prison or life. Judge Faulkner mentioned to the court he was aware of the high media coverage of this case and told jurors to avoid learning information outside of the court. There were also notices on the courtroom doors prohibiting recording and the use of cameras. When the hearing began, several jurors were dismissed or opted out. The state went first with its questions for the potential jurors, focusing heavily on the distinction between self-defense and deadly force, repeatedly asking where they drew the line between the two. Only late in the afternoon, around 2-ish, did they present vague details about the case. Once they revealed that the case involved school violence and a stabbing at Belton High, nearly 40 jurors raised their card to acknowledge they had previous knowledge of the case. Many expressed concern about the ability to remain unbiased. We will be.
So you see, the jurors there says that they were unable to be unbiased, right? Was unbiased, right? Okay, so they got rid of those jurors, and just like they did with this case, okay? But listen to the makeup of the jury on this one.
Hearing mostly from Allison's defense team tomorrow, since they didn't start their questioning until about 4-ish today, and then court convened about 4:30. But they did tell us today that they were here in defense of the law, not in defiance of the law. Jury selection will continue tomorrow, and the trial is expected to start in court on April 14th and will end no later than April 25th. I'll be here for you through it all. The morning didn't really get started until around 9:30, and what followed was Allison pleading not guilty. The witnesses were called to testify today, but overall today gave us a clearer picture of what went down in Belton High School hallways that May 3rd day. The prosecutor began in their opening statements revealing there is a recording of the incident. They also said that the conflict between Joe and Kaysen began after an incident at a prom after party, and that Joe swung at Kaysen first, accompanied by 4 others in that bathroom. The defense countered by saying that Allison was not guilty of murder because, quote, Kaysen survived what could have very well been death or bodily injury by a group beatdown. The defense also made a motion to exclude photo and video evidence, which was denied by Judge Faulkner. The jury also saw security footage of the Belton High School hallways showing the students entering the bathroom and running out. This included video of Ramirez running out with a trail of blood behind him and eventually collapsing. Several witnesses took the stand today, including 911 dispatcher Amy Retz, security officer Philip Douglas Taylor, and teachers who responded to the scene. You can read more about the witnesses' testimony at kcentv.com. The trial is expected to continue tomorrow with more witnesses called to testify. I'll have more updates for you then.
5 more witnesses took the stand today in the murder trial of Kaysen Allison.
Allison is facing charges alleging he stabbed and killed fellow Belton High School student Joe Ramirez. 6 News reporter Sydney Walker was back in the courtroom for day 2 of the trial. And Sydney, what did you hear from today?
Today we heard from a Belton PD detective who was there that day on the scene, as well as a close friend of Kaysen's who tried to break up the fight before it even happened, plus 3 boys who were in the bathroom the day of the fight when it occurred. Yesterday we heard a lot from staff about what Joe's injuries were and the response that was taken, but today was focused way more on the dynamics between the 2 boys as well as their respective friend groups. For instance, after multiple graphic crime scene photos were shown, we learned from a Belton PD detective's testimony that he had obtained a video taken inside the bathroom by one of Joe's friends. His friend admitted Ramirez liked to have his fights recorded, but that he deleted the video because he was, quote, scared of what happened. The video shows Ramirez punching Allison, and Allison swinging back a knife in his right hand. Allison is later cornered, and a scream can be heard coming from Ramirez. We're also learning more about what led to that May 3rd day. Multiple witnesses today shared that the tension between the 2 began at a prom after party at Allison's girlfriend's house, and that plans to fight after school and off campus were in place. Allison's friends testified that he had told her about the plans, but, quote, he didn't want to fight, he wanted to graduate. We ran out of time during the testimony of one of the boys who was in the bathroom, but he's set to return tomorrow when the trial returns at 9 a.m. To read more about what the witnesses testified today, go to kcentv.com.
Today, testimony continued in the murder trial.
Okay, you notice this one here? They had some interaction prior to this, okay? Which would mean which would be more of them premeditated because they know that they have issues with each other. So you get what I'm saying? They had some issues. So it's not exactly like Anthony, because according to them, Anthony did not know Metcalf, and it just, Metcalf came over and asked him to move, and then the group of people asked him several times to move, and he did not move. So there was no prior situation going on, where this case was prior. So this one is less of self-defense than the other one. You get what I'm saying by that, y'all? Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. All right.
Trial of Cason Allison, a former Belton High student accused of stabbing and killing a fellow student.
6 News reporter Sydney Walker was back at the Bell County Justice Complex. Sydney, what'd you learn?
Today we heard from 3 more boys who were present in the bathroom during the fight. Plus we got more context about what happened at a prom after party that caused tension between Allison and Ramirez.
So there was tension between these two already. Get it? It was, yes, more stabs. He stabbed them 4 times.
The first boy, who had already been questioned by the state yesterday, faced cross-examination today. The defense asked him, quote, "Would you wait for the second punch?" And, quote, "Would you gamble with your life or would you end the fight?" State redirected with, quote, "Would you stab somebody in a fist fight?" To which the student replied no. Another student who was in the bathroom simply by chance revealed that Belton High students caught in fights were fined $300 in tickets. He also confirmed that the bathroom doors can lock from both the outside and inside, but it is still unknown if the bathroom was or was not locked by Ramirez. Last up for the day was Ramirez's brother. He testified that at a prom after party, Allison acted aggressive and inappropriate toward his prom date, which caused his brother to step in. Afterward, a Snapchat group was created where Allison shared with Ramirez plans.
Did you hear all of this? There's been a plan for this. You get what I'm saying, y'all? Okay. Just listen. Just keep listening, y'all. Just listen.
To fight in the woods of West Temple Park. The trial was finished today around 12:30 due to some scheduling conflicts, so we'll hear more from Joe Ramirez's brother tomorrow when the trial resumes at 9 a.m. Ramirez's brother returned to the stand today along with 2 others. Emotions ran high today, with one member in the gallery removed from the gallery after he yelled out at the defense, calling him ignorant, and was escorted out of the courtroom. Ramirez's brother, plus a medical examiner and a close friend of Cason, were on the stand today. Today we learned Joe Ramirez had been previously arrested for assault when he was 18 and the victim was 17. He was brought to tears. Ramirez's brother was brought to tears when videos from that day were shown to him. The defense also asked if Ramirez was, quote, mad that Cason fought back, to which he replied,
but listen to this. Ramirez had a history, right? But, okay, let's keep playing.
"I'm mad that he killed my brother." Next up was a medical examiner who oversaw Ramirez's autopsy. He shared that their examination found 4 separate stab wounds on Ramirez's body. The examiner said that the cause of death was stabbing, with homicide as the matter of death. We learned there was 1 large stab wound across Ramirez's chest, which caused multiple injuries to both the heart itself and the left lung, as well as 2 stab wounds on his buttocks and a wound on his upper back and left forearm. Last up for the day was a friend of Allison who shared that he had heard from others that Allison had brought a knife to school that day, but was unsure if Allison had told him this personally. That friend will be back next week to testify.
So he told a friend that he was bringing a knife. So there was people that knew he had a knife.
And probably talk about some evidence that was discussed today, consisting of 2 text message chains between Allison and the friend. Trial will not resume until Monday, April 21st. We'll be back for you then.
Today marked day 5 of the murder trial of Case in Allison, with 4 more witnesses taking the stand, including 2 detectives.
One testimony that really stands out from today comes from an ex-girlfriend of Joe Ramirez and a close friend of Case in Allison. She shared that Allison had told her directly threats towards Joe Ramirez. Another close friend of Allison returned to the stand today discussing text messages between the two of them, and those texts contained things like Allison saying, "Bro, bring me a gun."
Are you listening to this? Are you listening to this? He's asking somebody to bring him a gun. This is Allison. But he got the lesser of the, okay, just listen, conviction. Listen. Just listen to me. Just listen. Hold on, y'all. Sometimes we got to educate ourselves on certain things and just see how this justice system works. Just listen. You know me, I do my homework when I'm bringing something to you guys. You know that, right? I give you the whole, so you guys make an educated decision on what's what. You know, I don't go by emotions. I go by what's factual, with stuff that's happening, okay?
The defense also asked if Ramirez was, quote, mad that Cason fought back, to which he replied, "I'm mad that he killed my brother." Next up was a medical examiner who oversaw Ramirez's autopsy. He shared that their examination found 4 separate stab wounds on Ramirez's body. The examiner said that the cause of death was stabbing with homicide as the...
Remember, this is the same state. This is Texas now, okay? This is Texas. This is not in Atlanta. It's not in New York. This is the same state that Camilo's case was in. Same state. Might be a different county, but it's the same state. Just listen, y'all.
Matter of death. We learned there was 1 large stab wound across Ramirez's chest, which caused multiple injuries to both the heart itself and the left lung, as well as 2 stab wounds on his buttocks and a wound on his upper back and left forearm. Last up for the day was a friend of Allison who shared that he had heard from others that Allison had brought a knife to school that day, but was unsure if Allison had told him this personally. That friend will be back next week to testify and probably talk about some evidence that was discussed today, consisting of 2 text message chains between Allison and the friend. Trial will not resume until Monday, April 21st. We'll be back for you then.
Today marked day 5 of the murder trial of Case in Allison, with 4 more witnesses taking the stand, including 2 detectives.
One testimony that really stands out from today comes from an ex-girlfriend of Joe Ramirez and a close friend of Case in Allison. She shared that Allison had told her directly threats towards Joe Ramirez. Another close friend of Allison returned to the stand today discussing text messages between the two of them, and those texts contained things like Allison saying, "Bro, bring me a gun," and discussion of Joe and their altercation at the prom after party. That friend said that the after party is where this all started, and that it was his understanding that Ramirez had pulled a gun on Allison at this party. Next up was Ramirez's girlfriend, who said that Allison had told her personally that, quote, he wanted Joe on life support and wanted to stomp his head in. Most of the day was spent questioning Belton Police investigator Robert Preston. He shared a recovered Snapchat audio recording, which includes Allison detailing Ramirez pulling a gun on him at the prom after party, calling Ramirez names, and saying he wanted to, quote, send him to the hospital. In cross-examination, the defense mostly attempted to discredit his investigation and the methods used, asking why he didn't review certain security videos or obtain witnesses' phones when the high school was still on lockdown. Lastly, Detective Robert Gatewood shared an audio recording from when he had arrested Allison at his home. Allison can be heard asking someone to come get him and take him to Waco, followed by his arrest when he says, quote, I was just trying to protect myself. That witness was on stand for most of the day. In cross-examination, the defense mostly asked him to discredit his investigation. There's still more witnesses to come. This trial is still ongoing. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Today,
they found out that it wasn't Ramirez that had the gun. It was somebody else that had the gun, not Ramirez. I went ahead and...
A Belton PD detective took the stand and showed evidence confirming that the lock on the bathroom door was not functioning from the inside. This comes after multiple claims from the defense that Ramirez had locked the door during the fight. Up first for the day was a Temple police officer who worked with the K-9 unit to find the murder weapon. The small black folding knife was found in a field close to the roadway where Allison had told them it was. Allison had thrown the knife out of his car window on the way home from Belton High. The investigation's primary detective, Gene Cole, testified next. He shared that Allison told him that he had taken the knife from his stepdad's closet that morning because he, quote, knew if he saw Josh and Joe in the bathroom, there was going to be a fight. The detective also detailed Belton PD's initial questioning of Allison, sharing that Allison told him he did not remember how many times he stabbed Joe. A video taken by Detective Cole was then shown, determining that, quote, the lock did not actually work and could not be engaged from the inside. Furthermore, Cole said that Allison had never mentioned anything to him about Joe or Josh Rios locking the door. We ended at about 2 p.m. today due to some scheduling issues, but we can expect to hear from Detective Cole tomorrow when he continues his testimony when the trial returns at 9 a.m.
Well, the prosecution rested its case today in the murder trial of Cason Allison.
Detective Gene Cole, who was the primary detective on the investigation into the stabbing at Belton High, was on the stand for almost 5 hours, and that's just today. This isn't including his testimony from yesterday as well. After the state rested its case, the defense called 3 witnesses in the last hour of today. The full over an hour-long video of detectives' initial questioning of Allison was shown to the jury today. The video shows Allison lying his head down on the desk and eventually lying on the ground and vomiting in a trash can. In the video, Allison revealed that he took the knife from his stepdad's closet that morning out of fear of being jumped by Ramirez, and also that before Ramirez had punched him, he had pulled the knife out and told Ramirez, quote, "Don't touch me or I'm going to stab you." What followed was a long period of pushback from the defense
Doesn't that sound like Camelo? Touch me, see what happened. This one said, don't touch me or I'm going to stab you.
regarding the overall investigation. They asked why Allison was questioned even though he was visibly ill, why Allison was not Mirandized in a more serious matter, and why Cole did not view security footage previously. They also asked once again why phones were not collected at the scene before the lockdown was lifted. The prosecution rested their case just before 4 p.m., and the defense then called 3 witnesses. First was the doctor who treated Allison in the emergency department. He confirmed that Allison was given a CT scan to rule out serious head injuries like a brain bleed or skull fracture, and also confirmed his diagnosis of a closed head injury. Next was a close friend of Allison who was supposed to fight alongside Allison in the planned fight off campus. He said that that fight was supposed to occur around 5 p.m. that day.
So it's a planned fight, y'all. Oh, Lord have mercy.
And take place in a 3-on-3 format.
3 on 3.
Last up was a teacher and coach from Belton High who helped stop Ramirez's brother from chasing Allison down the hallway. He shared that Josh Rios had told him that his brother was stabbed in the bathroom, and the two went to check assuming that Ramirez would still be in there. After that, he took Josh to the nurse's office and kept him in there, assuming that, quote, the best way to help Joe was to let the nurses work. In cross-examination, the accuracy of claims made by Allison's friend about who initiated the planning of the fight altogether was questioned, and Snapchat group chats were discussed. We ended right at 5 p.m. today, but we'll be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow to hear the defense continue their case.
Both the defense and the prosecution have now closed and rested their cases in the murder trial of Cason Allison.
Allison is accused of stabbing classmate Joe Ramirez nearly 3 years ago. 6 News reporter Sydney Walker has been in the courtroom since the trial started. So Sydney, what happens now?
Yeah, both sides have rested, but they got a lot done. In the past 2 weeks, we've heard from over 30 witnesses. 5 of them took the stand today, including one familiar face. A friend of Allison shared today that he saw someone pull a gun on Allison at the prom after party, but it was not Ramirez. After that, a person testified that they had been jumped by Ramirez in the past. Later, Belton PD Captain Richard Spurgeon testified that he got a statement from Josh Rios at the hospital that day, but Rios had not been very, quote, forthcoming. He also said that they had been made aware friends of Ramirez had been seeking retribution that day. When Rios returned the first time, Rios said that he was going through a lot of emotions when he was
what happened to
questioned by Spurgeon at the
audio?
hospital, and said his brother's
what
life
happened to
was
my
the
audio,
main thing
y'all?
on his mind at the time. Last up for the
What
day
did I
was
do?
Allison's mom, who shared 2 photos of Allison she had taken.
What did I do?
When he had arrived
I
home that
touched
day
something.
on the
Did
incident, showing blood on his face and a busted lip.
Hold on, y'all.
Monday morning at 9 a.m. That will give the judge and the counsel some time to discuss the charges and finalize them. When the jury returns, we'll hear that official charge and also those closing arguments.
Hold on. Let me do this again. Y'all hear it? Why I can't hear it? How come I I can't hear it. What did I do on my side? I can't hear it. Okay, I just can't hear it. All right, let me go ahead and play it for you guys because I can't hear it.
Well, following a conference with the judge and jury today, the court has decided on a final charge for Cason Allison. We're waiting to hear back from the court on what that charge is. 6 News was at the court during initial discussions this morning. We know the judge has instructed the jury to consider charging Allison with murder, manslaughter, or criminally negligent homicide. Right now, he's accused of stabbing classmate Joe Ramirez to death back in 2022 during a fight in a Belton high school bathroom.
Yeah, we were all waiting in the hallway anxiously for that verdict to come in, but we're going to have to wait a little bit longer because the jury in the trial of Cason Allison has just been sequestered. They will continue their deliberations for another day. At about 12:15, the jury went into a closed room to start their deliberations and begin discussion. In the hours since then, the hallways have been packed as people are waiting. At 5, they notified people that if they left the building, they would not be let back into the building because that's when the Justice Complex closes. A food vendor, though, stayed open until 7, though he ran out of most of his supply and was left with only snacks. We saw boxes of pizza brought in for the on-duty officers, the jury, and even members of the council. Finally, the jury asked to conclude for the evening and was sequestered. They had brought a packed bag in anticipation of this.
This evening, tonight, Judge Wade Faulkner, who's the district judge for the 478th, who's been hearing the trial that y'all been covering the last couple of weeks, has ordered Sheriff Bill Cook, the sheriff of Bell County, to sequester the jury. We have moved them to an undisclosed hotel location where they will remain under the security of the sheriff's office.
In reaching a verdict, all 12 jurors must agree that a charge is or is not proven beyond reasonable doubt. First, the jury must consider 3 different theories of murder. If they find none to be proven, they then consider self-defense. If neither are agreed upon, manslaughter is then discussed. If they don't agree on that, self-defense must be considered. Lastly, criminally negligent homicide is considered. Of course, they can also find Allison not guilty on all charges or struggle to agree, resulting in a mistrial. Well, the court is in recess until the jury agrees on that verdict, and we are going to have to wait just another day. But the Judge Faulkner ordered the sheriff to return the jury tomorrow at 9 a.m. to consider and continue their deliberations, consider all the evidence, and hopefully we are one step closer to that verdict. I'll be back tomorrow with an update as soon as we have one. Live in Belton, Sydney Walker, 6 News.
Sydney, thanks for hanging in there. I know it's been a long day for the jury and for you. Thanks so much.
After more than 2 weeks of trial, today a jury found former Belton High student Cason Allison guilty of criminally negligent homicide.
It's the least severe charge he faced, as the jury found him not guilty of murder and manslaughter. We now go to 6 News reporter Sydney Walker live at the Bell County Justice Complex. Sydney, how was it today?
And the jury finally came back with their verdict today at about 10:45 a.m. This comes after they heard from over 20 witnesses, viewed, heard, saw all of the above, all sorts of evidence that led them to believe that Cason Allison had acted criminally negligent, resulting in the death of Joe Ramirez almost 3 years ago today in that Belton High bathroom. Based on the verdict, the 12 members of the jury believed that the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Allison had acted criminally negligent, resulting in the death of Joe Ramirez. After Allison was found guilty, his defense attorney, Zach Boyd, asked the judge if Allison's ankle monitor could be removed. The state objected to this and asked Faulkner to find his bond insufficient. The judge denied both of these requests. Allison faces anywhere from 6 months to 2 years in prison, but we will have to wait until June 16th for that sentencing. When news of a verdict came in, people piled into the courtroom, anxiously awaiting, some even already crying. Allison's defense team acknowledged the high emotions in this case.
This was a hard case, and nobody should ever outlive their child. No human being should have their child die in a violent way. And I'm so sorry for their loss. And the Allison family is so sorry for their loss, because there is no good outcome to this.
When news of a verdict came in, people piled into the courtroom anxiously awaiting. Before the verdict was read, Judge Faulkner reminded everyone that the court would not allow any verbal outbursts, disrespect, or standing out of seats, regardless of what verdict was read. The jury had been deliberating from 12:15 p.m. last night to about 9 p.m. last night, when they then requested to be sequestered. Before the verdict was read, Judge Faulkner reminded everyone about the rules of the court, like I said earlier, and the jury had been deliberating from 12:15 to about 9 p.m. last night when they requested to be sequestered, but they came back at 9 a.m. today, discussed for about 2 hours, and then arrived at that verdict when they found out that Allison was accused and found guilty of criminal negligence. So, yes.
All right, thanks so much, Sydney.
Well, the verdict comes as a pivotal moment in a case that has drawn intense scrutiny since the fatal stabbing at Belton High School in 2022. The jury had 4 different options under Texas homicide law: acquittal, murder, manslaughter, or criminally negligent homicide.
They chose the least severe of the criminal options, rejecting the state's allegations that Allison intended to kill Ramirez. 6 News reporter Juliana Jackson has more on the legal implications of this verdict. Juliana?
It's important to break down the legal differences between these charges. Murder requires intent to kill or cause serious bodily injury. Manslaughter involves recklessly causing death, and while criminally negligent homicide is when someone causes death by taking a substantial and unjustifiable risk that results in death.
Often one of those cases that we refer to as splitting the baby. There were likely people on both sides of the fence. They were given many options.
Self-defense played a pivotal role in the case in Allison trial.
The defendant say, yes, I committed the offense. However, I was justified in doing so. So that completely shifts the narrative of the case. We don't have a defendant saying, it wasn't me, I didn't do it.
The jury's verdict suggests they believed Allison's actions went beyond what a reasonable person would consider necessary self-defense, but did not find he intended to kill Ramirez or acted with conscious disregard for human life. Criminally negligent homicide punishment ranges typically from 180 days to 2 years in a state jail facility. However, there's one factor that could alter Allison's sentence.
If there is an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon, the judge cannot give the defendant probation. So whether or not there is a deadly weapon finding in this case is critically important.
Even though a knife was used in this case, an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon is not automatic. It must be specifically found by either the jury or the judge. Allison has chosen to have Judge Faulkner determine his sentence rather than the jury. Legal analyst Liz Mitchell says this could be a strategic decision.
We have a defendant who has never been involved in the criminal justice system. He is basically set up for a successful life. A jury, it's sometimes harder for jurors to put emotion aside and look just at the facts. With judges, they are looking strictly at the facts.
While many criminal convictions are automatically appealed, appealing this verdict could be dangerous for Allison.
If he appeals the case and it's reversed and remanded, meaning it is sent back to the trial court, the state can try him again, and that means you are rolling the dice and could possibly be convicted of murder the second time around.
Allison will remain free on bond until sentencing hearing, which is set for June 16th at 9 a.m. At that time, we'll learn whether a deadly weapon finding will be made and whether Allison will serve his sentence on probation or in custody. You can stay updated here on 6 News.
Allison's defense attorney, Zachary Boyd, spoke moments after the verdict was delivered.
All right, folks, let's talk about this verdict. You heard it. After the jury listened to everything, after they waded through the mud and the murky waters churned up by a less than perfect investigation, they came back with criminally negligent homicide. Now the state, they started out hard swinging and crying murder. They wanted everyone to believe that my client, this young man, Cason Allison, was a cold-blooded murderer. But that's not the verdict you heard today. The jury looked at the evidence. They looked at all of the evidence, or rather, they looked at the lack of all of the evidence. The vital pieces that were ignored or mishandled, and they said no, not murder. They didn't even say manslaughter, which is a step down and requires recklessness or a conscious disregard of risk. No, they found criminally negligent homicide. Now, what does that mean under Texas law? It means that Cason caused the death, but it was by criminal negligence. It's about failing to perceive a substantial and unjustifiable risk that his actions would cause the death. It's a gross deviation from what an ordinary person should have been aware. Think about that. It means the jury found he did not intend to kill, or even that he was aware of the specific risk, but decided to ignore it. They found he should have been aware, based on his actions in a moment of sheer terror and chaos. This verdict, while it is not the full acquittal that we were seeking, is a clear rejection of the state's case and the state's primary narrative. It tells us that the jury grappled with the context of what happened in that bathroom that day on May 3rd of 2022. They heard about the after prom party where someone from Joe's group pulled a gun on Cason. They heard Sam Ramirez testify despite his own fear about witnessing that gun being brandished. They heard from Corbin Ovale tell you about Joe Ramirez's history of violence and his group and their history of jumping people. They heard Angel Murillo say Cason didn't want to fight and Joe tried to lock the bathroom door. Tito Chamel was the cameraman. He confirmed that Joe tried to lock the door and initiated the encounter. He also said that he was recording the fight because Joe liked to have his fights recorded. They saw Cason's injuries from the attack consistent with being sucker punched. They heard Cason's own words from the interview that he was rushed and punched after they took off their backpacks and approached him. And all of this evidence, the evidence the state often tried to ignore or minimize or mislead the jury on, painted a picture of a young man facing a perceived threat of serious bodily injury or death who was trapped in a small, confined, inescapable place, a boys' bathroom. And we all know that nothing good ever happens in the boys' bathroom. Self-defense under the law the judge gave allowed for the deadly use of force if he reasonably believed it was immediately necessary to protect himself. There was no self-defense option in regards to criminally negligent homicide. The jury had to consider whether or not the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Cason did not act in self-defense, and they wholly failed to do so. And let's not forget the shadow cast by the investigation itself. The failure to Mirandize Cason at the arrest, the minimization of Cason Allison's rights under Miranda at the beginning of his interrogation, watching with callous disregard as Cason's injuries continue to hurt him. He continues to feel worse throughout the interview, such that at one point he lays down on the floor and vomits. And the quote you hear from the law enforcement officer, Detective Gatewood at that time, is, "You weren't kidding, were you, Cason?" Because Cason was telling the truth in that interview as best as he knew it after having sustained a closed head injury that was diagnosed at the ER when they had to rule out a brain bleed by CT to make sure he wasn't more injured than he actually was. These were not minor hiccups. They didn't even try to investigate self-defense. They didn't even try to put together a day-in-the-life video of each of the boys that day when they arrived at school, when they went to their first period class, when they left their first period class and walked to the bathroom at A100 in that wing where these events took place, and then when they left, because it was too much footage, I guess. We had 18 plus terabytes of video. They said, law enforcement said they looked at less than an hour of video. They simply chose not to do a complete, thorough, and comprehensive investigation. The jury, by returning a verdict of criminally negligent homicide, has told us they didn't buy the state's argument that Cason acted with intent to kill or even act with reckless disregard for life in that moment. They saw a young man scared, injured, reacting in a sudden, violent encounter that others initiated and escalated. This verdict reflects a finding of a lower level of culpability, recognizing the chaos and fear Cason experienced, which may have prevented him from fully perceiving the risk in that split second, even if an ordinary person hypothetically should have. This is not over. We move on to the sentencing phase. We will continue to fight for justice for Cason Allison, a young man who was trying to graduate, trying to avoid trouble. He was thrust into a terrifying situation, and this verdict acknowledges that what happened was a tragedy, and it rejects the state's attempt to paint Cason as a murderer. It brings us closer to the truth, a truth based on layers, a truth rooted in self-preservation in the face of fear and attack.
Hold on a second, y'all. Sorry. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. Sorry, I forgot I was muted. I had muted myself while I was playing it on my phone because, I couldn't hear it on here. But what I was saying is same type of case, different outcome. Same type of case, different outcome. I have an attorney that's going to come and we're going to discuss this case. She said that her and I had talked about it, and she knew he was going to, Allison was going to be, well, not Allison, Anthony was going to be found guilty, and he was going to get the highest because she thought he was going to get like 50 years of, and she breaks it down exactly why she knew that he was going to get the sentence that he got. And you guys know her. She's been on my channel before, and we're going to discuss this later on this week because she is an attorney out in Texas. She does federal and she does state cases, and she told me flat on out that he was going to be found guilty. Oh my God, everybody wants to call me this morning, y'all. She told me that he was going to be found guilty. And she said she contacted me and she's going to come to my live and we're going to discuss this case. I'm just discussing it in a different mindset, and I'm not trying to do this, race thing. It's the justice system. It's who we put in place. It's who we voted on and how, certain things is happening in society. Oh my God. Oh. She said, I knew guilty because he didn't fall under self-defense. It was either murder or manslaughter. The other guy was not self-defense either. The other guy was in self-defense, but they also add on another option. You are thought about. That's why you're being called. You are thought about. That's why you're being called. Ray's funny, but no. I am going to her and I are going to get together and we're going to discuss this part, the legal sense of it. Oh, she said she called back. Okay, hold on. Hey.
Yeah. Oh, there you are. Hi.
I don't know why it went to voicemail.
Like it went straight to, like it didn't even ring.
Oh, now you're repeating. I hear you repeating. I hear myself too. So when did you want to do this? I'm excited because I talked about the two cases today. Well, the Allison case.
Well, the thing, it's really up to you. It really is. The sooner the better, because I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Okay.
I'm over it.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay, so can we do it like, are you available in about an hour or not?
I gotta go to a funeral.
Oh, okay. So then we see, I go to work at 6 o'clock. So, and you an hour difference from me. So how about tomorrow morning? Is that good for you?
Mm-mm. You gotta work at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, because I'm doing delivery now. Pizza delivery. I do.
Can we just do it? Can we do it today? Because I'm not staying at the funeral.
Okay.
I'm going to show my face.
Okay, then call me when you're ready and then I'll have it set up.
So my thing is, how are we going to do this? Because I want
Okay, because then we can also do it. You have TikTok too, right?
Yes, I have TikTok.
Yeah, we could do it. You could put it on your TikTok phone. Yeah, we could do it that way.
See, and so I have. Right, his parents came out and said that the lawyer, he didn't do anything, he didn't file any objections, he was a bad lawyer, and that they were told to hire a white lawyer.
What? Okay.
So I don't know. Do your questions. The funeral.
Okay.
So
okay, I'll set it up.
Yeah, and just go ahead and work on your questions. Like, oh.
Okay, guys, we are on. Guess who's gonna be my attorney? I gotta end this live and I gotta do a new live, and I'm gonna try to share it on all my different platforms so she can talk about it. And y'all remember Timothy Adams? Y'all remember her? You guys remember her, right? All my R. Kelly folks, y'all remember her? Y'all remember Timothy? I remember her. She's one of those. She's my favorite after Mr. Steele, of course. Yes. And she is going to talk. She's gonna give y'all her professional outlook on this. So we're gonna do this. Give us about an hour. I'm gonna do a little I'm going to try to do it on all the platforms and talk about it. We got to figure out how to do this. We're going to do it on Instagram Live, but then I'm going to share it on here, okay? We're going to do Instagram Live, and I'm going to share it on here. Yeah, it's a lot of mess, y'all. It's a lot of mess. The fix was on for that boy. The fix was on. But anyway, and he didn't do his homework. If he would have checked out this other case here, at least he could have gotten the same thing that the guy got, that same deal. Because first of all, we already know that Anthony was guilty of stabbing the boy. We know that, no ifs, ands, but we're not even arguing about that at all. No arguments on me on that. Okay, he shouldn't have bought a knife. He should have just got out the tent. We all know all that. We all know all of that. But there are certain things. Yeah, she did come during YSL. There are certain things that a defense lawyer, a good defense lawyer, even though your client is guilty of something, will get you the best type of defense ever. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some people who are guilty, and he happened to be one of those people. Do he deserve 35 years for something like that? Did he intend to killing this young man? I don't think he had the intention to kill him. Because remember a comment he said to the coach, he said he's gonna live. But then when the coach said, suppose he doesn't, suppose he died. You understand what I mean? He did some stupid stuff. As a child, the mindset, 17 years old, not fully developed, he made some terrible, terrible, terrible decision. Absolutely, there is consequences to your decision, but 35 years, when another young man did the same type of thing, he gets 10 years. Come on, y'all. Where is the fairness? And I am not justifying his action at all. I am not. Let's get this clear. I am not justifying. He did wrong, period. But I'm just showing you the difference. Now, if the other guy had 35 years and he got 35 years, I said, cool, they both got the same thing, right? But this young man, the other young man, he got what? How much he got? 10 years. And that's because the judge enhanced it because of the deadly weapon. But he was only supposed to get between 6 months to 2 years. You get what I'm saying? That is not justice. That's not fairness, you know? It's not fairness. I'm not here to argue whether or not the young man did wrong. I am not here to argue that. I am here to argue the unfairness of the justice system. When two individuals could be charged with the same type of crime, one get this type of sentencing and this one get this type of sentencing. It's not, and then people make it so political, and it's ridiculous. What we need, the only political thing we need to do is get the right people in office, so we can have the fairness across the board. It's not fair, and it's because of this, the color of the skin. It's not fair. It is not. It is not fair justice. That's all I'm arguing about. I'm not arguing about whether or not the jury got it right of conviction. You know, why wasn't that other part being put on and well, we'll let Timony come in, and she's going to give you the legal side, because I'm not a lawyer, and we are not going to even discuss that. But I'm going to end this live right now, and then we're going to compare and contrast. We're going to talk to the attorney that knows the laws in Texas. She's an attorney out in Texas, and she's going to talk to you guys about this. All right. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. After this, I am not going to do this case anymore, because remember, this type of case, it's the emotion, and people are not really looking at the case as it is. You know what I'm saying? They're not looking at it like, they're looking more of black and white. It is black and white. Yes, it is black and white. But as far as the deserving of the sentencing, it shouldn't be unequal like this. It should definitely not be unequal. And we're going to talk about it. All right. Whenever towns still use that you're black, you get back. You white, you're right. You know what, Jay? All right, y'all. I will see you guys in a few. Give me about an hour to get myself set up. I have to get a thumbnail. Where my girl at? I need a thumbnail. I'm so tired of trying to get a thumbnail around this joint. Let me see if I get a picture of Timony. I need a picture. Hold on a second, y'all. Let me ask her for a picture. Miss Taylor, send me a picture. Let's see, I get a picture of her so we can do it. All right, whatever. Yeah, I know tomorrow is when Frost goes to his thing. Yeah, I know that, right? Frost. All right. You said it was a different charge. He was charged with murder. He was charged with murder on VK. He was originally charged with murder. You gotta look at the indictment. The indictment, he was charged with murder. And just like Anthony, they both was charged with murder. It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow, Miss Torres. I was gonna go, but I'm not going. Edric is 56,003. People stop giving on that too. I tell you, if anytime it has to do with somebody black, folks don't want to give up the money. Nope. Let a white person call a little boy in the N word in a park. They have $1 million in stash. The facts are the facts, y'all. Facts are the facts. It's the truth. All right, so let me get myself together, and I'm waiting for her to send me a picture. I don't feel like trying to get a picture someplace else. I want her to give me a picture. Can y'all send me some questions for Timothy? Anybody got any questions y'all want me to ask her for y'all? Anybody got any questions y'all want me to ask? You see how these people be calling me? If y'all have me to add a question y'all want me to ask Timothy, send me the question, and I'll see you guys in a few, okay? Keep your notification on so you can get me. So I'll see you later. Bye, y'all.
Thank you for watching the infamous Sylvia channel, where laughter and fun make up our panel. Together we build this digital spree. We appreciate you and our growing family. With mods by our side and chat flowing free in this online space. It's just you and me, we laugh until tears roll down like the rain. In this virtual world, you ease all my pains. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We cherish the moments, the highs and lows, from the latest gossip to stories untold. You're more than a viewer, you're part of the crew in this space of ours. It's all because of you. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign and joys what we'll gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign and joy is what we'll gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so